live event. And we're live, Chair.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Forward Scrutiny Committee for People. For those who are operating remotely from home, please be aware that council standing orders apply during this meeting, the same as if you were in person here. The meeting is also being recorded for training and other purposes as well. And I'd like to say good morning to everybody that's tuned up today. So thank you for coming here. And apologies for absence, item 1.
Councillor Bright, Chair.
Okay, no more apologies. Any declarations of interest? Minutes of the previous meeting. They're on pages 3 to 14. I guess you've all had a chance to read them. Do we have a mover for those? Seconded. Okay, thank you. Okay, we move to the scrutiny plan now for education. We're going to start on page 21.
Chair, can I just raise a point on the minutes?
Councillor Aliwami, you can if you like.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Not sure what style we've agreed, but the meeting we had previous to that, which was on the 12th of July, the minutes reported a committee member asked this, a committee member asked that. On this one, it seems that the committee as a whole have been asking the question, because it says the committee asked. What is the agreed format for reporting the minutes and about who has asked the questions?
My understanding, before I hand over to the scrutiny officer, Councillor Aliwami, is that the identification of the member asking the question or the committee asking the question isn't normally referred to or identified, and that as I see it, I see no issue with it. But you do raise a point. If I'm wrong in any of that, please feel free.
Absolutely, Chair. Well, I say that there's no official format, but it tends to be that we name the committee as a whole as asking questions. Obviously, like you said, we have named a committee member. From my understanding, from the current head of law standards, is that as long as names aren't used, it's happy for us to say a committee member, that committee, just as minutes are verbatim. We've got recordings for that, so she's absolutely right.
Yeah, if I may come back on that, Chair. I don't understand it, because we report the cabinet members by names, we report the officers by name. So why are members of the scrutiny committee suddenly become nameless? I think it should be, they should be identified, really. That's my view. I don't know what other colleagues think, but I think they should be identified.
Do you want to come back on that, Chair?
As to who asked what question.
If you like to. Okay.
I wouldn't say it's a sudden change to not using committees' names in the minutes. That's been the system for years, as far as I'm aware.
I've never seen the name.
No, I don't think it's scrutiny, certainly. And officers and cabinet members aren't named in the minutes either. They're referred to by their titles. That's always been the standard from what I've been informed and seen.
Well, as I said, Chair, I don't know what other colleagues think, but if that is the way it's going to be, I just ask that my observations here today are minuted, please. Thank you.
You do have an avenue to raise any questions like that in a different format. You could take it to the head of Loading Standards, Democratic Services. You know, there are many ways. I know that this isn't. I know this is a genuine concern for you. The minutes will be recorded, as they always have been recorded. But please be aware you can make challenges, and we all support that. That's what you want to do, but not here.
Well,
not today here.
Can I ask that my comments here are minuted, please, Chair?
Comments of a member of the committee will be minuted, no problem. Thank you. And so we move on. Service area starting on page 21. I say good morning to the Cabinet Member for Education and Deputy Leader, and to the Chief Education Officer. And Cabinet Member, if you want to do the introduction, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. I'm really pleased to be here this morning to present our education service plan for 22 to 24. And basically, currently, just to remind you, we've got 9 secondary schools, 43 primary schools, a nursery, 1 pupil referral unit, and 2 special schools. And this plan, there are 5 key objectives. First objective is looking at school improvement to raise standards and progress and focus on high quality teaching and learning. Objective 2 is looking at learning engagement, ensuring equity of opportunity and high quality provision, and to prevent disengagement of our most vulnerable pupils. Objective 3 is it focuses on inclusion and well-being, and there's a particular focus on supporting young pupils from vulnerable groups such as those with additional learning needs. Objective 4 is resources and planning, and it's our intention to deliver high quality educational facilities and support functions to enable pupils to achieve their potential within their local communities. And of course, we need to expand on our Welsh medium provision. Objective 5 is a focus on leadership and management to deliver a motivated and capable engaged workforce and to ensure effective use of resources. The particular points I wish to highlight are, as I think there's a focus within the report on a delivery of our new schools, which I believe are transformational, because I'm particularly pleased that the principals in delivery of those schools there will be a focus on our carbon reduction plan, and we are certainly adopting this approach within our new builds and within our focus also on retrofitting. And we are seeing new developments at Isgorgwth and Iscoed, Baseleg, Clear, and as well as we will be seeing development over the next few years in St Andrews, and we're going to be seeing a new primary being built on the former Whitehead site. Additionally, I think within the service plan, you'll see our attention is to establish a rapid service area review so we can evaluate properly the quality of service delivery and the sharing of good practice across all of our service areas. And we're really mindful of the fact that we need to embed the principles that have been outlined in the new LN Act. We need to focus on our priorities that have been outlined in our Welsh Education Service Plan. And equally, we're specifically minded that poverty and deprivation is having an impact on learning. And we're looking at sharing best practice across our schools, where wellbeing and focus and support of families is helping to really make a difference. All of this, of course, is underpinned by our strategic plan, which was approved in full council last week, our strategic equality plan, which was also approved in full council last week, our digital strategy within our education service, and importantly, of course, our ESTIN recommendations, which focus on specifically outcomes for our preschool young pupils, strengthening the opportunities for children and young people to influence decisions and affect them, and of course, importantly, self-evaluation and value for money.
Thank you, Cabinet Member. We're going to move through the report now, and so 23, page 23, number on the bottom, anything on there, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, I have a question on.
Chair. Sorry, I couldn't find the hand to go up.
That's okay. Please,
I just
please.
wanted a question about Millbrook Primary School, about the future of that, because it's still ongoing, the repairs and whatever, and just wanted an update, please, Sarah.
The update, that's not part of the education service plan today.
Right.
So it would be better suited if we did that outside of the meeting, Councillor Clemberley. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Reference 1. Thank you, Sarah. Develop and improve vision by inclusion for the next 5 years involving schools, learners and partners. The LA has a cohesive inclusion vision developed with key stakeholders. I noticed that the anticipation completion date is 24. Could you put some meat on that one, as they say?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the most important factors in working with our schools that increases the chances of success is working collaboratively with our head teachers and our practitioners. It's important that colleagues in central education understand the operational aspects of school life. And one example of how that collaboration has worked well is when we brought head teachers together and teachers and the local authority to work on a head teachers strategy group for ICT. Okay, so we understand the complexities of working on ICT, and there's an opportunity then for us to be able to look at critical issues and then fix them together. So we'd like to replicate that working party, that strategic group with our head teachers around inclusion, because actually over the past 5 years we've come an awful long way in our practice. So there are some key successes that we need to make sure are shared right across the local authority. So some good examples are ensuring that all of our staff are trained around trauma-informed schools, so they understand the complexities of children's lives and the challenges they might have experienced in order to be able to support them in an inclusive approach. Another example is working on a Thrive programme to make sure children are appropriately nurtured if they've got emotional and mental health issues, and that training works. So the purpose of this group is to look at what we've done in order to be successful, how our exclusions, for instance, dropped over a period of time, what worked well in nurturing children, those children that we're working on that had specific bespoke interventions, what's worked well with universal provision in schools, and how we can then take it forward. Because what we do know is that as we returned from the pandemic and schools were closed for periods of time, children and young people have experienced difficulties in settling back into school for all types of reasons. And this is paired with some of the complex challenges that people are facing in their own home, linked to poverty, etc. So the point of this is bringing the group together. Now, Councillor Routledge, you asked today why this would take so long. Actually, the background work around what we've succeeded in and some of the key objectives that we'd like to see is already in draft. And this will be presented to our Cabinet member very shortly for comments. The group will be established immediately after Christmas. We've already asked for key head teachers to participate, but we would like to make these suggestions to them, but also for them to come up with their own ideas. So some good examples are we're seeing schools now that haven't got formal learning resource bases that are organised by the City Council, but schools have developed their own. So they've got their own classrooms and nurture areas where they pool together their funding linked to pupil deprivation grants and ALN, and they've got small group activities that are ensuring that pupils thrive within their own school buildings. So this is why we're establishing a vision and setting up the strategy group, but it certainly won't take until the end of 24. There are milestones that are mapped in between so that we can see this journey progressing.
Thank you, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain that because you've expanded what we needed to hear. So thank you, Sarah. Okay, so we're on, you have to see that one, page 31. Anything else on there? 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, okay, can I thank you for the presentation that you made this morning? Unless there's anything else that the committee wish to add to that, we look forward to seeing the progression that's not only been outlined, but has been outlined in the minutes and the agenda going forward. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year, I believe.
I have one question.
Good. Yes.
As most of the schools are now back and the children are all in school and working to their full capacity, two questions really. How are we managing in regards to recruiting teachers? Because as chair of one school, I find they're very difficult to get the standard of teacher which they require. The other thing is with the let me say the outstanding repairs for a number of schools, and obviously the taking down of the one school on Corporation Road and the transport of pupils to another location. How is that affecting the rollout of the commission from Welsh Government, and how is that affecting the education of the students?
Yes, so what, please, if I take your first question, which was linked to the availability of the education workforce in general. I would say our most significant issues are around teaching assistants and being able to source teaching assistants in schools. That's often linked to a competitive market where actually salaries are competitive, and so understandably teaching assistants are making other choices linked to the cost of living. So teaching assistants are sparse. Teachers themselves, yes, absolutely. We're seeing specific shortages in key subject areas, more than primary school teachers per se. So we certainly see shortages in English medium teachers that are fluent in Welsh, and so therefore be delivering Welsh second language. Scientists, mathematicians are really, really difficult to come by. And moreover, our Welsh medium education workforce are our most significant challenge across the local authority and Wales. In fact, directors across Wales got together yesterday to talk about those challenges and share ideas of what we could do to support the recruitment of those staff. But that is a specific challenge. I think it's important that our head teachers are really careful about who they're employing. So I do note on the ground that often we go out to recruitment on a number of occasions because our head teachers require the very best, and that's understandable, isn't it? But for instance, we did recruit a secondary head teacher only last week, and there was a significant amount of candidates that applied. So there doesn't seem to be a shortfall in applying to Newport City Council in that area at the moment, but you know, it becomes more difficult over time. But certainly those issues around teaching assistants, specialist staff and Welsh medium workforce are our most challenging issues. And Councillor Watkins, you asked about the quality of education, particularly with the children in St Andrews.
In general, in regards to the maintenance of the school properties, how is that affecting education across the board?
Well, the first thing is that we have contingency plans written into our business continuity plans as a whole to ensure that should there be any type of event where children and young people might need to go to a plan B for their learning due to a maintenance issue, that is secure. What I can say in the examples that you've used of pupils who have had to move from their home schools to an alternative building, those alternative buildings are of an excellent standard, and we check in on those schools regularly, and actually the buildings are not causing any concern in terms of teaching and learning. Okay. However, we recognise that in changing our normal day-to-day practices, that causes complexities with the way that we operate schools. So, for instance, we have to rethink the way that professional learning might be supported, because you might get teachers on 2 different sites and teaching assistants. But we work collaboratively to try and overcome the challenges, and we go through the problems one by one to work together to find solutions.
Yes.
Sarah, are many teachers leaving the profession?
From what our head teachers are telling us, yes, I think that's happened throughout society in all types of professions throughout the pandemic. I think people rethought their lives and the opportunities that were presented to them in terms of being able to work at home, etc. So yes, I would say that throughout Wales we've got that issue, and throughout the UK it's not affected us in a horrific fashion.
No, that's what I meant. Is
Yes.
it's impacting education, you know?
Teachers have been hard to find in specialist subjects, for instance, for a long time. But I don't see huge cohorts of teachers leaving the profession.
Well, I'd like a supplementary question to the first question. That's okay. Are we having discussions with Welsh Government in regards to the shortage of the specialist teachers, which are basically short throughout Wales, some North, South Wales anyway? So I wondered whether we were having discussions with Welsh Government on how to resolve that issue.
Absolutely, Councillor Watkins. So the first issue is the specialist teachers. There are bursaries in place across Wales to support and encourage specialist teachers to come through. That takes time, and also that's linked to the ability to be able to commission a university to take on those specialist subject teachers in the first instance, and that has, as you would expect, a high threshold to make sure that those initial teacher training institutes are of the right quality. So that will take time. The second aspect is the Minister for Education and Welsh Language launched a strategy to consider the shortage in the Welsh medium education workforce. So these are the types of topics that we would discuss on a national level on a regular basis. Of course, we would like to see more of those teachers come through more quickly, but we are where we are.
I've made a note to get in touch with a Welsh Assembly member.
Well done. Okay, right. Thank you very much. Thank you to Cabinet Member for appearing and giving us the introduction and oversight. And thank you, Chief Education Officer. And we can now release you back to the world. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And right on to you before. Season's greetings.
Absolutely.
And happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's not long till Christmas to starts this week.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce the next section, which is the prevention and inclusion service. And I'd like to welcome the cabinet member for our community and well-being, cabinet member Councillor Deb Harvey, and the head of service prevention and inclusion, Caroline Rees-Phillips. Ryan Phillips, sorry. I should have got the Specsavers or someone. Sorry. Use the toilet. We're going to, before we go on, cabinet member and officer, we're going to have a careful break. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
We're trying to establish whether we can pause live, interrupt live coverage. We're struggling at the moment, so can I just remind everybody that we're still going live. And okay, 3 to 1, we're all back in the room. There we go. We really haven't been anywhere, have we? So, so we got the cabinet member, Councillor Deb Harvey, and thank you for coming here this morning, or even be it by a live recording, and the cabinet member and the committee officer there. So who's going to introduce this new section for us? Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not in person as I'm not well, and I don't
No,
want
I
to
understand.
to everyone else.
Thank you for that consideration.
The introduction is following the senior management restructure led by Beverly Owen, Chief Exec last year. This is the first service plan produced for the newly formed Prevention and Inclusion Service Area. The service area was established in April 2022 with a focus on aligning family support and intervention services across the council under one service area, producing the greater efficiencies, seamlessness of service delivery and a reduction of duplication. In addition to producing improved outcomes for families and individuals, and strategically plan for longer term sustainable models of delivery. Excuse me. Service plans are linked to the priorities laid out in Newport City Council's corporate plan. However, being a newly established service area, this will explain why there are no links or references directly to the council's previous corporate plan, or have specifically identified areas for which we can build on. This new service plan, however, is incorporated into the new 2022-27 corporate plan, in particular aligning with 2 of the 4 wellbeing objectives laid out in the new corporate plan. These being, Newport is a supportive city where communities and care are at the heart of what we do, wellbeing objection 3. And Newport City Council is an inclusive organisation that places social value, fairness and sustainability at its core, wellbeing objective 4. With the service delivery, we want to safeguard our vulnerable citizens and work collaboratively with a range of stakeholders to tackle inequality in Newport. We want to ensure that people can be supported to live independent lives and have identified needs met appropriately, timely, and avoid escalation of needs. Intervening earlier and preventing the need for higher, more costly tiers of support is at the heart of prevention and inclusion. This service plan will evidence the strengthening of investment in the early intervention and prevention agenda with a range of community-based activities supporting families and individuals to live positive and healthy lives. We will strive to make all our services accessible and inclusive, providing equitable opportunity for everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Member. Okay, we're just going to start on page 44. Here, 41, sorry, page 41. 42. 43.
Yeah, one question on page 43, and that is in regards to the chair of the committee referred to the partnership website, which appeared incomplete, and asked for the partners to confirm how the partnership is made up of the delegates. Has that been completed yet?
What page you got?
Page 43.
I got 43 here.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
Sorry, Chair, can I just excuse this?
Yes, by all means. I don't see.
No, I can't see that point either.
No,
Okay.
no. I wouldn't appear on this report. Okay, thank you, Trevor. That's fine. This is that's okay. 43, page 44, 45, 46. 47.
Chair, I raised my hand on page 46.
That's okay, yes.
It's about the youth service. It says we're going to have more youth clubs. I was just wondering where they would be situated. And also, is there a plan to recruit more youth workers? Because over the last 2 years, it's been a dying profession and there should be more invested in it.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Cleverly. Yeah, there is absolutely a plan in place to grow the youth service. We know that it's been fairly decimated in recent years for a variety of reasons, and obviously the pandemic had a significant impact on the youth work profession as well. So the plan is to grow a citywide youth provision. So we're not targeting particular areas of the city. What we want to do is make sure that there is a youth provision and access to youth provision across the city. So it's a fair and equitable service, which is absolutely at the heart of prevention and inclusion. So we want to make sure all our services are reaching as many people as possible. There is a current workforce issue with recruiting youth workers. Similar to what Sarah Morgan was describing in education. However, I know that our team manager, Bethan Allen, is working very hard on a recruitment drive. And there are things that we can do to try and attract people back into the profession, maybe people who have left for one reason or another. But there's a lot of development opportunity. We're trying to make the job descriptions and the opportunity for what they can contribute towards in Newport as appealing as possible, so that we are making it sound more attractive to people. We know that there's an awful lot of people currently doing the degree in youth and community work. We take those on as students and they do placements for us in a variety of teams. So we're hoping that early investment in that workforce will help them to stay with us and actually then contribute to the wider workforce with qualified staff. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. 47. 48. 49. 50. And the service area risk register 51.
Chair,
Yes, councillor. Councillor Alwani, you're on mute.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, Sam, I'm absolutely going cross-eyed here because on my agenda, it appears in the wrong orientation and I cannot rotate it. So I'm having to sort of look at it cross-eyed. So
Okay.
when I pick the agenda of the website, then it does not tally with the pages that the chair is calling, which is another difficulty. So can I just ask, maybe next time, can you make sure that when you email us the agenda, it will appear in the correct orientation? I tried every trick here to try and rotate it. I couldn't. But the question I have is about those the risk register there. I mean, it's very laudable that the Welsh government should sort of try to remove the mean tested thing. But looking at the risk now, and in view of the financial situation that we know is not going to be great. You know, we've already had one presentation about that, and there will be more to come. How are we going to cope with that? Because do we have the means, do we have the finances to actually get those risks from the red that it is now to the amber that we're hoping to achieve? Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, these are not red risks. They're scored as amber, but we have no red risk on our register. As you rightly point out, the majority of the financial contribution to this service area sits with grant funding from Welsh Government. Now, these are very large national grant streams and programmes, so there is very, very little expectation, low risk that this funding will be withdrawn or taken away from it. If it was, I can assure you that will be something that will be a national issue and it won't affect Newport uniquely. That will be a nationwide issue about how all of these early intervention support services to families can be provided. They do rely on grant funding. They are not part of, by and large, they're not part of core statutory funding from the council. But there is an expectation, and there is a very high expectation, that that funding continues from Welsh Government, largely under the Children and Communities Grant, which is an enormous grant that provides an awful lot of funding for a lot of services. As I've said, it's not red risk. We are fully expecting that to continue, and we've had absolutely no indication from Welsh Government there is any risk to that at this point in time.
Okay, well, I mean, I like hearing what you're saying, but we are currently trying to make the budget, aren't we? You know, we're in the process, and heads of service sort of are working, you know, in the sort of shadow of quite big cuts that we have to make for next year. I know we have not finalized anything yet, but would you sort of your optimism be well placed even then?
Obviously, I'm aware of the challenges that are currently operating within the wider council. I'm very involved in all of that work. I can't actually discuss the details of the budgets and the finances at the moment. That's probably outside of the scope of the service plan discussion, which is what I'm here for today. All I can give you is that reassurance that I'm absolutely part of the wider corporate discussions around the budgets and looking at how we support our colleagues in other areas. But that's probably a discussion I need to pick up with you outside of this forum from today. That's
You,
okay.
I noticed Councillor Harvey's head, she was shaking her head.
Just a
Perhaps she
second.
might
Can we,
comment.
yeah, can we not
Well,
question? Can we
I'm
not make
reacting,
comment
Chair.
on whether,
Sorry.
just a second, Councillor Aluemi, can we not make comments on other people, whether they're shaking their heads or what? Councillor Harvey has struggled to make this meeting today. I'm glad that she's able to put her head on, never mind holding straight. So just to stick to the agenda, the officer has answered your question. I think she's answered it very well, because I had the same questions that you did. If there's anything else you want to question on that, on those items, please feel free and have another go.
Yeah, with respect, Chair, this is scrutiny and I am entitled to ask questions.
You are, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
don't make reference to someone else shaking their head. There's no
Well,
need.
I was curious to see whether there was, something she wanted to add, really, that's all.
No. If Councillor, I can assure you one thing, if Councillor Harvey wishes to interject and add something, she will, and she's just raised her head. So if you want to, Councillor Harvey, please.
Thank you, Chair. I shook my head, Councillor Al-Nawami, purely because you said we were in red category. We are most certainly not in a red category. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Aluemi. Councillor Aluemi.
Yes, I'm coming, Chair.
That's okay, thank you.
That's what is showed on my copy. It's red and it's I think yeah. There's no further question, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aluemi. They were very good questions, and thank you to the officer for clearing that up. Yes, Councillor.
Just one question, sorry.
Pim.
It may not appear in the document. Just driving in the Newport and mainly Pwyllgor areas of Newport, I do notice large congregations of immigrant teenagers, youths and parents gathering at the front of their houses. Has there been a strategy, or have these groups been communicated with? Is anyone involved with these groups to see how best they could be involved with the plans and schemes, specifically?
Absolutely, Councillor Pym. There's a range of activities and programmes that are going on to engage with different communities across Newport. There are particular areas that probably are more challenging than others. We know that through reports about social behaviour and so on and so forth. Newport does run a range of inclusive programmes. I can give you an example. We are a pilot area for Levelling the Playing Field. And it's a national programme that runs through Youth Justice Services, and that is specifically targeted at non-white Welsh communities, people where we tend to see more youngsters from the black and ethnic minority community entering the youth justice system. That's what statistics show us traditionally. So the kind of programme we're involved in there, but Levelling the Playing Field, it through targeting sport, using sport activities that targeting some of those kind of groups. And so we run football sessions on a Friday night. There's youth provision throughout the week, and we are engaging with those communities. If we know that there are congregations of youth, and perhaps there might be some issues around antisocial behaviour, that's where our youth workers would be going out in the streets, targeting and trying to engage. The issue here is engaging with some of these individuals. Sometimes just by standing around on the street, they're not doing anything wrong, but actually, other people might feel a little bit intimidated by them, and what are they up to, and even passers by feeling a little bit scared to walk by. We understand that completely. but it's also recognising that sometimes some cultures and some communities, they do hang around in the group talking and chatting. They may not have anywhere particularly to go, but that links in with what I was trying to say about widening the youth provision so that we've got safe spaces to go to.
Yeah, that was my next question, is if there are any plans for facilities to help these groups?
Yeah.
Since being the Liswary, mainly Gwenfleet area.
Yeah.
Killian Road. I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong, they're just gathering and chatting, but when you drive past, we do think, well, if there was somewhere, if there was a facility for them to kind of socialise and.
I think you're right, though, that in parts of Europe, certain countries, people do gather on the street, don't they, and drink or eat on the street without any reason. You know, we would think that's a bit peculiar, but it's just, you know, it's just how some communities live, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Completely take on board what you both said. I think, you know, the starting point in anything, it's all about the relationship that we try to build with these different communities. We can have all the provision we like, but if we haven't got an engagement with them in their own communities, on the street, having a dialogue with them where they become to trust us or services, and that they find out a little bit more about what is available. You know, so we invest a lot in having resources staff actually is building those relationships and connections in the communities on the street.
Yeah, I know from my, again, I've been at a practice rooms over in the Shaftesbury area, and one of the rooms that night was highlighting, and everybody in there seemed to be from that same ethnic background, and they were all singing karaoke in a room. They weren't practicing, whether they were practicing for a performance, I don't know, but there was 12, 15 people in there just singing the song out for 3 hours, and then they would have probably stumbled across that, I think, by chance. But I mean, I again, just whether any of your kind of community leaders, employees have had a chance to kind of speak to them and say what are your interests? Do you know that these facilities are available within the city? And in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sarah Morgan, she I don't think she mentioned it, but for example, in Maindy Primary School, they run Walking Wednesdays, and that is particularly for different cultures and different communities. We know how diverse Maindy is, but they run that it's for a wide range of age groups, and anybody can come in. And I was there last week myself, and I just happened to witness the activities. There was a dance group, there was football, there was singing, and I mean, it was chaotic, but it was actually a wonderful thing to see, and that is exactly what we're trying to build more of across the city. What we want to do is get it across the city, not just in certain areas. We want to make sure it's accessible. And the children and young people have got somewhere to go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for attending this morning. It's a good insight into the work that's done by the where are we? It's a brand new committee that, you know, I even lose the title of it, which is the Prevention and Inclusion Service. One has to get that absolutely right. There's not a great deal to hold you to account yet, but you have great aspirations, and I hope that everything you try succeeds, and when you come back, we'll see how well we've all done. And if not, the committee will advise and help you on how you can improve and deliver the service that we all need, desire and want. So thank you, Councillor Harvey. May I wish you a speedy recovery and all the very best for Christmas, and yourself too. And you're free to go. Thank you so much for all attending.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee. Again, Merry Christmas to all of you and a healthy and happy New Year.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Debbie.
And now we're going to hand over to our Scrutiny officer, who's going to take us through the next two items, 5 and 6.
So if we go first to the conclusions then, I don't have any specific comments or recommendations noted from committee. If anyone wants me to forward any specific comments, now's the time just to let me know. Otherwise, I'll take it that you're all happy with the
Just a
service
follow up
agreements.
from the comments that I've raised there, obviously. You kind
Follow
of
up on,
tread on eggshells sometimes with that when you're trying to describe ethnic
Yes,
groups.
it's, yeah.
Without specifically highlighting certain ethnic groups. It's just, I would be interested to find out what plans, if they've got any projects or plans or schemes in 2023.
Yeah.
And if they've got any, also if part of their plan is to have, try to establish if they haven't already got community leaders, youth leaders from within those communities, and maybe a broader kind of like plan or kind of committee to get all those community leaders together. Because sometimes I think it's a bit like councillors really. You operate in your own ward, but when you actually meet up with other people, you share ideas, and someone can say, "Well, this is what we've got here.
Yeah.
Do you know that that's available?" Like I said, those practice rooms I was at, they just booked a room for 3 hours, and they were just all in the singing. Everyone was hogging the mic, kind of thing, you're expecting kind of a nightclub, having a great time. Now, a lot of people might not know about those facilities, but if they all had that information, so how are they coordinating their community projects? Are they doing it with just specific groups, or is it across the whole city as part of an organisation?
How do they get the word out?
Yeah, how do they communicate different groups from different ethnic backgrounds?
all noted for you, councillor.
Okay, councillor Pat Druitt.
Chair, Councillor Pym mentioned certain wards when he was speaking, and I just think that this is a problem that's citywide. Just because I represent Alterine, similar things are happening in Alterine, and I just think that rather than being specific in the report about certain wards, this should be a citywide issue. I hear also that, and this is anecdotal, that one of the hotels in Newport is going to be used for housing asylum seekers, presumably sent from Kent. But
okay, can I just say that first off, Pat, you're absolutely right. Secondly, Councillor Pym is, like yourself, very new to the committee procedures. I didn't want to pull up Councillor Pym and ask him to be generic rather than specific. I was going to speak with Councillor Pym after the meeting, but as it's raised, when we speak, we must speak generically about the city rather than specifically about ward issues.
I wouldn't talk about my ward.
No, I know.
Surrounding wards.
Yeah,
It's just observations.
and it's a very good observation, and I know the areas that you were speaking about, but I take Pat's point as well that it can be everywhere, and the second point is there is no relevance at this moment in time, Pat, as to the accommodation of asylum seekers or people seeking asylum, as I would much prefer to refer to them. But thank you for your contributions as always. Okay.
So I've noted your comments, Councillor Pym, about the importance of inclusion. I'll work with Caroline to get some more information for committee. Does anyone else have any specific comments they want noted? No?
The only bit that I didn't get to bring up, sorry, is there any plans for any new facilities across the city?
I can certainly forward that question.
Any community centres, any facilities that could help accommodate that?
Yes.
Okay.
Councillor Cleverly.
Thank you, Chair. Could we have an update on the Youth Academy, please, to see what I'd like to know is what qualifications they gain after it and how long they're on there for?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got that noted.
Excellent, thank you.
yeah, Now, the cabinet member seemed to question what I thought was page 51 was saying about the red and amber. I'd like to have clarification of that, if I may, please. Perhaps, perhaps that can be clarified, because it certainly look red and amber. It says the inherent one is red and the target is amber, but the cabinet member seemed to question that.
I think,
No.
if it's okay, Chair, please go back. I think, Councillor Allen, maybe, it's a little confusing because there's two different shades of the amber. I think it's easy to interpret the first column on page 51 as red, but I think the implication is that they're two shades of amber, but I'll certainly go back and get clarification for you.
Sorry, the first one is not red then?
No,
not on mine, no.
Well, I mean, it looks orange on mine, I have to say, but then looking at the other one, it looked sort of more like amber. So what's that then? If it's not red, what is it?
So I think you're right, it is confusing. I will go back to them and clarify, but I would say that there's different shades of amber.
You know,
I'll certainly.
I think you're spot on there. I had it down as red, as colour red. Looking at it now,
Sorry,
it's confusing. We will get that. We will get that cleared up and make sure.
Because if I accept that maybe amber if it's not red, but what about the next one to it then? What colour is that?
Absolutely, no, it is. I think my only understanding could be that there's two different shades of amber. I myself thought they were red until the head of prevention and the head of education said that they were amber. So I've certainly got that noted and I'll feed that back.
And we'll get an answer to all members.
Yeah, that's all, I mean,
yes.
As I'm saying, really, the report on my iPad, that's how it appeared, and it certainly sort of looked more reddish. But then if that was amber, what's the next colour? Because that didn't look like a green to me, Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your observations. I had it down as red. Looking at it on there. We'll get that cleared up and we'll try and make sure that doesn't happen again. Thank you. It is a bit confusing. There we go. Well, especially on mine, it's confusing. There we go. Okay.
Is there any other specific comments anyone wants noted? Are we happy just to accept the report and go with what we've got? Fabulous. It's still new, Chair, I hate to say. Yes. If we move on then to the action plan on page 59. Obviously there are quite a few actions outstanding. I have escalated them and I have chased them today and yesterday with the director. Hopefully we'll see next week. If she doesn't have answers next week, hopefully we'll be able to have a bit more of a timescale on those. Obviously the actions from today will be added. And then it's just the forward work programme. Our next meeting obviously is next Tuesday on the 6th, where we'll be looking at the Director of Social Services annual report and the service area plans for children and adult services. And then we don't meet until January. So committee content with the work programme? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, yes. We're all content with that.
Everything from me then, Chair.
Okay then, can I wish you well until I see you all next week, and thank you for all your contributions. Thank you for your attendance in person or virtually, and we shall see you on the 6th of December. Wow, I never thought I'd say that so quick. 6th next week, allegedly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair.